We welcome you to Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Thunder playoff postgame with Game 3 of the Western Conference Finals between the Thunder and the Timberwolves officially in the books. The final score, 143-101, and the series now 2-1. Here inside of Target Center, the site for Game 3, the first matchup between these two teams in this series inside of this building. And as anticipated, the Timberwolves came out and threw a punch in this game. We heard it from Coach Daigneault before the game tonight. He said, we can anticipate that the Wolves are going to throw a haymaker. It's our job to try to respond to that. To the Thunder's credit, they tried. They threw a couple of punches of their own, particularly in that third quarter. Just not enough offense to overcome what we saw from the Timberwolves throughout this game.
First of all, if you're watching this post-game show, thank you for watching after that game. But yeah, this was an unusual game for OKC. I mean, there's really no other way to look at it. Even just throughout the 82 games in the regular season, this is uncharacteristic of the Thunder, and they just did not play well, did not start all that well, and then just could not get the course corrected as they so often do.
Well, let's get you over to the press room now so we can hear from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault after the game.
Mark, the start of this game, did you feel like it was more energy on their part versus your part, or an execution thing, or maybe a combination of the two that just you all didn't get off to the start that you wanted to?
Yeah, certainly a combination. Credit them. First of all, they were ready to play, and they did everything better than us from the jump tonight. So dug ourselves a hole. Thought we tried to drum it up a couple different times, but they did a good job of holding us off as well. So we can learn from it. Obviously not our best punch, but again, tip our hat to them for going and getting the game the way they did.
Mark, you guys have scored almost at will, it feels like, in the paint this series. Why do you think that changed tonight?
I'm not sure. I mean, we'll go back and look at it. It was a combination of things. I thought their defensive pressure and physicality definitely stood out early, and they were definitely throwing the first punch in the game. That had a lot to do with it. Schematically, they were a little different tonight, but not a ton. I just thought they were way more physical than we were forceful on that end of the floor, and they were way more forceful than we were physical on the other end of the floor, and that's a tough combination.
And this ended up being the biggest deficit of your season, but like, you were down 31 in the Memphis series. Obviously, you turned that game around. What felt different about this game that maybe led to the fact that you guys never really, bid into that lead?
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I don't know if this mic's
even
working. Yeah. So obviously in the Memphis series, you go down.
Biggest deficit. I got that.
Right. So I guess, why do you feel like you couldn't bite into this lead today the way you did in that game?
I mean, a combination of how they played and how we played. I mean, I would never discredit the effort that they put forth. I mean, they went and got the game tonight. They were way better than us, obviously, in every facet. Can't isolate it to one thing. They just holistically were much better than we were. And like I said, I thought we tried to drum up some energy at different points in the game, but they obviously were able to hold us off because they really ran through the 48 minutes tonight.
Did you feel any different about the looks they got tonight?
The looks?
Yeah.
I think we generate a lot more of a rhythm in the other games than we did tonight, and I thought that impacted our rhythm stepping into those shots, and so some of that, again, was them. I thought they did a great job offensively and defensively, especially from the jump, and some of that's us, and we need to, obviously address the stuff we can control and be a much better team in Game 4 if we want to give ourselves a better chance than we had tonight.
Mark, were there some signs early in this one that were sort of concerning as far as effort or just intensity matching their physicality, anything like that?
I mean, obviously they threw the first punch, but we've been so good all season at being able to take a punch and bounce back, take a punch and turn the game, amp up our whatever we need. And that wasn't the case as much tonight, but it's not like early, I was overly concerned. It's a 48-minute game, and we've been a team that's typically kept coming, but they just, give them credit. They kept their foot on the gas tonight. And we were just never able to give ourselves any traction in the game.
I think I know the answer to this one, but confident you guys can just put this one behind you.
It's been, who we are. Generally, we know the ebbs and flows of a playoff series. We've been on the other end of games like this, and they haven't been predictive of the next game either. So we do have to look at it and address the things that went awry for us tonight. But at the same time, it'll be a new game. It'll be 0-0 when Game 4 starts.
Mark, some of the things that you guys typically do to teams with pressure, bumping people off of cuts, getting over screens, not allowing to be screened. Minnesota displayed some of those same traits tonight. Were you guys bothered by that a little bit, or how do you kind of counter that a little bit going forward as we go into Game 4?
Yeah, they're a good team, that's played very well for a long time now, and they have a lot of pride. And they probably felt like they left something on the table in terms of how they played in the first 2 games. And to their credit, they addressed that, and they were ready to go tonight. So like I said, it's a series. Every game's different. Every series is different. You have to grow through the series, and you got to grow through things you do well, and you got to grow through the adversities as well. And we've got experience doing that, and we have to apply that right now.
Coach, Jalen Williams seemed to really unlock his offense these first 2 games in the series. What did you see differently in this game tonight?
I mean, it's not just him. I think generally they were just much more physical, much sharper, executed better, more forceful on offense. I mean, for the score to be what it was, they needed to be really good in a lot of areas and outplay us in a lot of areas, and that's what they did. So, again, give them credit. We lose a game like that, it's not just one team. They really took it to us, and we're ready to play. We got to learn a lesson from it. They're going to come out and try to replicate that in Game 4.
Why do you think Ant was able to seize control of the game the way he did, basically from the opening tip?
Yeah, we just weren't able to bottle him up the way that we have the first couple games. Credit them for freeing him up. Credit him for the energy and the force that he played with. He was really on it early. And again, their force on that end of the floor just was better than our physicality, pressure, things that we typically do well. So we'll look at it. We'll, separate out what was, just pure physicality and energy and what was execution. We'll address it and be a better team Game 4. That's what we have to do.
Mark, you mentioned some of the schematic things. How did it sort of impact you guys offensively with them sort of picking up Shai at a lower point?
Say that one more time.
How they were picking up Shai just lower. They weren't picking up as high.
Yeah, I thought they definitely wound that back a little bit, which is an adjustment that other teams have made. I mean, we're used to him getting picked up high, getting picked up low. We have different attacks for that. They did a good job tonight, overall with their execution of the plan, the physicality in the scoring area, creating a crowd. Certainly things we could have done better to try to loosen that up, but they were the better team on both ends tonight.
Went away from the double big lineup in the second half. Was that just trying to throw a different look at them?
Yeah, just trying to get, a little more fluidity on the floor and loosen them up. It was effective in the first couple minutes. We made a nice run. We got it to 22, which for where we were was way more manageable than we had been in a while in that game. But, just obviously I threw different guys out there tonight. I'm a big believer when the game's going like that, you just give a lot of guys opportunity to give you a spark, and that's what I was trying to do.
It's a similar thing with AJ. Went with him a little early-ish. Did you like what you saw from him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to evaluate him. He hasn't played a ton in these playoffs. He obviously was injured for a long time, but he established a good little track record, early in his rookie season. He has utility. There's things he brings to the table. I thought maybe his ball handling could have helped us in that part of the game, but at the same time, it's would be unfair to evaluate him in a 3-minute stretch.
Mark, this is a little silly. It feels arbitrary, but fans like to say that a home team is bound to shoot better in their own gym. Like, I just wonder, is that something you're mindful of? Is that something you have to coach against?
I think generally, players, are going to play more comfortable at home, in terms of all the stuff that puts the wind at your back with energy and effort, confidence, and force. And we knew with them coming home down 0-2 that they were going to bring those things tonight, and they did. And while I thought we were prepared to play and mentally ready, they definitely landed their punches, and we had a really hard time getting into the game. But I don't know how much that's, them at home, but they certainly played better than we did tonight.
Anybody else?
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good reminder when you're watching this game and you're trying to digest it a little bit at home to not just look at maybe what might have gone wrong for Oklahoma City, but to look at what the Wolves did right tonight. They had to do a lot of things really at a high level to overcome what Oklahoma City does well, and they hit on all of those cylinders here today. You heard Coach Daigneault, a lot more physicality defensively from the Wolves, a lot more pressure, a lot more force on the offensive end, and all of those things together in their home arena, their backs against the wall. They were highly motivated, and all of those factors can lead to the punch that they threw in this game tonight.
It's a great point, Paris. I think a lot of times, since we're focused on the Thunder primarily all the time, that you can forget that there's two teams playing in this series. The other team really, really wants to win very badly as well, and they're doing everything they can do to scheme and adjust and tweak. And understanding the situation here, being down 2-0, and really the Thunder controlling both games 1 and 2, the Wolves had to come out and really try to make something happen in this game. And again, we were just talking about it. The Thunder didn't. I think you can kind of zoom out and say that they didn't get off to a great start. They actually got off to a really nice start.
Yeah.
The lob to Hartenstein, I know it was just 4-0, but the Thunder looked like that they were really kind of settled into the game early, but the Wolves really increased their ball pressure. They were the ones turning the Thunder over and generating offense off of their defensive stops, which is typically what we see the Thunder do. And then, of course, the shooting variance really tilted in Minnesota's way, which, as Coach Mark explained, a lot of times can be something that you see happen on an opposing team's home floor. So, look, it's an ugly loss for the Thunder, uncharacteristic in a lot of ways, but they only get one game out of it, and so now the opportunity does exist for the Thunder to be able to turn the page, start at 0 again in Game 4. And look, you wanted to win both games here and get this thing closed out, but now it's about getting the next one and trying to get this series get a split here in Minnesota.
Well, and another thing that you can really take away from what you heard from Coach Daigneault is very composed, very even-keeled, never going to overreact to something like this, because a series isn't won in just one game. It's the first to 4. And so for Oklahoma City, this is a really good opportunity to take this punch, because that's exactly what it is, and what they've done all season long, respond to that, and go back into that locker room, go back and look at that film, parse out what are the lessons, what are the things that are controllable from this game, and then try to apply those in just 48 hours back in this building.
Yeah, I think you got to disconnect a little bit emotionally from the score of the game and zoom out, because the Thunder have had to deal with, through this playoff run, little tougher gut punch situations. The Game 3 in Denver, that was a tough one. And going down 2-1 in that series was a very difficult circumstance right there. So the Thunder have been in a scenario similar to this. Again, the scoreboard, I think, is jarring in this situation. But, again, it's one game. The Wolves just get one, and they don't get to carry any points over to Game 4, thankfully.
Yeah, and the Thunder definitely going to take all of these lessons and apply them to that Game 4 in just a couple of days back here inside of Target Center. All right, come back with us here at Target Center right after this break. We got more to break down here inside of Target Center after this Game 3 against the Timberwolves.
Air Comfort Solutions has always stood for cooling, heating, plumbing, and electrical services you can count on. Assuring comfort since 2004, our Oklahoma Strong team stands for accuracy, confidence, and support where and when homes need us most. Today, with our refreshed look and our expanded services, ACS stands for achieving 100% customer satisfaction, as we stand tall and do it all for OKC homes. Like a $69 AC tune-up to keep your home comfortable year-round. For whatever your home needs, don't stress. Call ACS.
Experience the sweet, vibrant flavors of Mexico in every spoonful of Brahms' new fancy sundaes. Enjoy a cascade of fresh fruits on Brahms' Tarta de Fresa Crema Sundae. Indulge in creamy cinnamon-kissed ice cream with silky caramel on the Chongo Zamorano Sundae. Dive into strawberry paradise with Brahms' Fresas con Crema Sundae. And savor each caramel-filled bite of Brahms' Sopapilla Cheesecake Sundae. Authentic flavors, bold traditions, and irresistible sweetness in every scoop, only at Brahms.
Big wins are blooming across Riverwind Casino, and the jackpots have never been sweeter.
Go all in on your favorite table games.
Hedge your bets on the biggest wins and unbeatable entertainment.
Use your wild card for the best perks and the top rewards.
And play for your share of the $100,000 Lucky May Days giveaway. Win with the best.
And we'll see you at Riverwind.
Welcome back to downtown Minneapolis. We are here inside of Target Center just following Game 3 between the Timberwolves and the Thunder. And before we get going here, we're going to send you over to the press room so we can hear from Chet Holmgren at the podium.
I think the biggest thing is they came out and played with more force than we did. execution, you couldn't even get execution into the game because, they just took us out of our stuff with force. So, we gotta equal that force and be better.
Chet, when you say they forced you out of your stuff, like what are some of the small in-game battles you're tracking? Some of the ways they're doing that you want to avoid?
It's not complicated. They just wherever they wanted to go, they got there. They didn't let us be in their way or anything. They did what they wanted to do, and we didn't stop them. So. Yeah.
And so before it, ballooned to 35 and then 40. Like obviously, in the Memphis series, you guys came back from 31. Just what was sort of different about this game?
I'd say they're a really good team. They're in the Western Conference Finals for a reason. They played with more of an edge tonight than we did, and it showed. I'd say that's the difference. It's not like an X's and O's thing or anything complicated. It's pretty simple.
First couple games, you guys made it really tough on Ant to get any kind of a rhythm going. Why do you think he was able to really take control of this one from the opening tip?
I'd just say you gotta give him credit as a good player. He's gonna watch the film, make adjustments, and see where the cracks are for him to insert himself in the game. We made it tough on him the first two games, and credit to him and their team and their coaching staff for figuring out ways to make it different for Game 3. It's not anything unexpected. We didn't expect them to just kind of hand us the game or anything, and we have to do the exact same thing they did. We have to go back and watch and see why what they did worked, and then figure out how to counter that.
Chet, you said they played with more force, more of an edge. Why do you think that you guys weren't able to match that?
I wouldn't say that we weren't able to. We didn't. So.
Is that hard to get going mid-game? We've seen you guys do it before, have big comebacks. Why was tonight maybe different?
First of all, I'd say we've done it before, but we have to be better from the jump. And I'm always going to look at myself. I'm out there at the beginning of the game, so it starts with me at the end of the day, and I have to be better from the jump. Once you put yourself in those positions, especially playing against really good teams, you don't want to bank on that. We've seen it happen before with us and other teams, but at the end of the day, it's about giving yourself the best chance throughout the whole game, and putting yourself in a big deficit like that isn't what you want to do. So we have to be better.
Games like this are such an anomaly for you guys. Are you more after a game like this? Are you more of a throw it away, forget about it, or are you somebody that wants to get into the film and see all the things that you guys can improve on?
I'm gonna get into it and see where I can be better. Our whole team is. The coaching staff's going to. Everybody's gonna look and see where they can be better. Because we have a group of guys that really care. So, at this point of the season and after a game like that, nobody's thinking just throw it away or scrap it. There's lessons in there where we can all be better. Myself, everybody included, and we're gonna do our best to take those lessons and learn from them.
Anybody else?
Yeah, the humility from this group. A guy like Chet Holmgren, the ultimate competitor, and you heard it from him. He's going to be the first guy that goes back, looks himself in the mirror, and is going to see what he can do better, because this group, we know one thing, they are going to respond. And for a guy like Chet and for a guy like Shai, we've seen it time and time again. These guys are competitors, and they're going to look at themselves in the mirror first.
I love a lot of things that we heard from Chet, and that, obviously he's one of the most competitive players in the NBA. Yeah. I love the fact that, some people, I'll just throw this one away. And he's like, why would you throw this away? There's something to learn from every single game. and again, that's the mentality of the team. I also just love just kind of the sharpness and the intelligence of Chet, where he was asked about, the Wolves came out with a level of intensity and the Thunder couldn't match it, and Chet was quick to correct and say, I wouldn't say that we can't, just say that we didn't.
We didn't.
And to me, that was just, that again, I think it's just very indicative of the mindset of this team, that they're still extremely confident in themselves. This was a bad game. The Thunder did not play well. Yeah. And again, like you said, Paris, there's two sides that the Wolves played outstandingly well.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily indicate anything going into Game 4. It's just now the series is 2-1, and the Thunder need to regroup and play better. As Coach Mark would say, it's when you get back to 0, it's about resetting your baseline, and the Thunder's baseline has been tremendous all season year.
And we've talked about it. A lot of what we saw tonight, too, were controllable things like uncharacteristic turnovers for Oklahoma City that they're probably going to go back and see that they could go back and get in a game like this. But the other element to this, too, is a guy like Chet Holmgren, a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. These are excellent players, and they are going to be able to respond. They have a high ceiling. They have a high baseline. Just getting back to that is key for Oklahoma City. But, Royce, the thing that you and I talked about, these are the Western Conference Finals. These are the best two teams in the West. Of course, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to come out and play great when their backs are against the wall.
Yeah, they got great players. And Anthony Edwards demonstrated tonight why he's one of the world's best three-level scorers. He's, gets downhill. He had his mid-range game going. He had the pull-up three going tonight. And then a lot of the other players, Julius Randle, who was not very good in Game 2, got it turned around and played really well tonight and was downhill and playing really well in that regard. So, again, some things for the Thunder to look at and learn from. But, not to be unexpected that some of these Wolves players played well, because they're really, really good basketball players.
Let's not forget, these are all NBA players with a whole lot of talent playing with a lot on the line here in these Western Conference Finals. All right, we will be right back right after this, but stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. Got to break everything down and get you ready for Game 4.
Big car payments? That's no fun. Even if you love your car or truck, the wrong vehicle loan can leave you wondering where your money goes and if your payment could have been lower. So if you're paying more than you should on your car loan every month, give a little love to your budget and contact Communication Federal Credit Union. There's no cost to find out if we can help. Plus, all new vehicle loans and refinances get the first 90 days with no payment. Love your car and your loan payment with Communication Federal.
Let Love's be your partner on your summer RV trip. Fuel up, grab a bite to eat, and stay the night at one of our 90 RV stops. Reserve an RV spot overnight and turn on amenities from your phone. With over 420 dog parks, we've even got your furry family members covered. We're the perfect pit stop for your next road trip. Love's, the heart of the highway.
With OG&E Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. If you're a busy bee, go with Smart Hours Daily, where daily price alerts let you maximize savings. Or how about Smart Hours Fixed? Just set it and forget it. Night owl? Choose Smart Hours overnight. No matter which you choose, with Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. When you reduce your energy use between 2 and 7 p.m. this summer, you help the grid, the environment, and your wallet. But you have to sign up to save. So sign up now at oge.com/smarthours.
Back inside a Target Center here in downtown Minneapolis, the site of Game 3 where the Thunder fell to the Timberwolves. The series now 2-1. Let's get you over to the press room so we can hear from the MVP of the league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Shai, what did you feel just in terms of the force that they were playing with early and what you all needed to do differently in the opening minutes of this game?
Yeah, we just didn't bring it from an energy and focus standpoint. We, to sum it up, we just didn't have it. They obviously had it with the sense of urgency, knowing like if they go down 3-0, it's going to be pretty tough. And we just, what it felt like, just eased into the game, and they didn't, and they blitzed us pretty early. And then we were never able to get back because of it. But, they just came out with a sense of urgency, and we didn't. And on top of that, when you play a really good team, it looks like that. So we got to come out with a sense of urgency, and then see where the game lays.
Was there a play or a sequence that you saw and thought, like, okay, things are probably starting to get out of hand?
We just, turned the ball over early. They had, offensive rebounds early. like a free throw block out I missed, and then I was offensive rebound. Like just energy plays and little plays, like loose balls, stuff like that adds up, especially early in the game. And then they're at home, their crowd's behind it, and then they get comfortable. They're up 15 and they're open and they're making shots, and now it's 22. Like it's all a trickle effect, but it starts with like just playing with energy and being focused, and we didn't have that tonight.
Well, along similar lines, Chet was just in here saying that Minnesota played with an edge that you guys just didn't match. Why do you think that is that you guys didn't match that edge?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. The same thing kind of happened in the Memphis series. We came out in Memphis and they blitzed us. I'm not sure. I guess both situations we were up 2-0 going into Game 3, and we went on the road and they blitzed us. But we don't try to go out like that, I promise you. But whatever it is, we got to figure out if we want to, reach our ultimate goals. But that's what the days in between are for, to get better.
Shai, we've seen you have, the occasional off shooting night. This felt like it was really tough for you to generate looks. What was different from the first couple games in terms of you being able to get looks and to get any kind of rhythm?
I think it starts with I honestly feel like they were obviously heavy on the shell like they always are. We got some pretty good looks early in the game from 3 and they didn't fall. And then a big part of it is we were taking the ball out the net for the majority of the game. So they get back and get to set their defense. And I don't care who you are in the NBA, against a good defense, it's hard to score when they're set. And in the past 2 games, it hasn't been that. We've been able to get stops and run and play. And like I said, when you take the ball out of the net every time down, it's tough regardless. So I think that was part of the problem was our defense into our offense.
And then, with Ant, you guys obviously made it tougher in the first couple games. Mm-hmm. He dominated from the jump tonight. What'd you see from him that allowed him to get in such a groove?
Yeah, he got some early ones, like turnovers, fast breaks. He got some early ones easy. And with good players, you can't let them get comfortable early. It looks like that. So, yeah, we got to be ready from the jump. That goes back to the sense of urgency and the focus on the game plan and what he's trying to do out there and what they're trying to do offensively.
Shai, for so much of this season, you guys have been, able to, bump people and, get people out of their offense and blitz people. And, to have that same thing done to you tonight, was that startling to you guys, or is it something that you guys just have to figure out how to deal with and go and watch the film, tomorrow and head into Monday?
I wouldn't say it was startling. It just it happens. You're never going to be perfect in life in a long season. Now you get punched. It's about getting back up. It's about responding, and that's what the next challenge is. We got punched in the mouth today, and next game we're either going to get back up or not, and we'll lose the game. But we have a decision to make for sure.
Kind of a follow-up on that. You guys all year, last 2 years really, have been a team that put your foot on the gas defensively to either expand a lead or get back into games. Why'd you feel like that wasn't working tonight?
They got too comfortable, and they were playing with a desperate mindset, knowing where the series was laying. And then you give good players comfort in their building with their home crowd behind them. It's in a moment like this in the Western Conference Finals, it's hard to turn the water off. So yeah, that's what that was.
Anybody else? Here we go, Mike Martin. Last one.
You talked about punches, throwing the first punch. Mark said the same thing. What goes into feeling like you guys threw the first punch? Because I can't imagine it's as easy as you guys lead and that's the first punch. What makes you feel like you guys really set the tone?
Say again, sorry?
About throwing the first punch.
Uh-huh.
Mark talked about it. You're talking about it. What makes you feel like your team in a game, you guys threw the first punch?
It usually starts with game plan stuff. They obviously have strengths offensively and defensively, and both teams, and vice versa for us as well. And both teams are trying to impose their will on the game, and the team that imposes their will more and earlier usually throws the first punch. So it's the same thing on both sides of the ball. if they're trying to do something offensively and defensively, we take them out of it, we threw the punch that possession. And then you string them together, and there goes the first punch.
Anybody else? All right, you heard Shai. It's all about being able to throw the first punch in a game. And the Timberwolves, well, they got their first punch in this one, and they ultimately threw a big enough punch that they're unable to overcome it. But with a guy like Anthony Edwards and guys that are in front of their home crowd, feeling a lot of rhythm and a lot of energy, those easy looks, those early looks can really start to build some momentum. So for Oklahoma City, I imagine going into Game 4, an early start and a nice hard punch to begin with from the outset is going to be key.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Shai was, as always, you can kind of see the poise and composure.
Yeah.
He's able to kind of separate, I think, from some of the emotions of a game like this and really give you some insightful stuff. And a lot of what he was talking about is exactly what you're talking about, Paris, which is the first punch stuff was uncharacteristic for the Thunder tonight, which was the Thunder not being able to get some of their sets, the Wolves getting some cleaner looks than they otherwise normally have, and then some of the turnover elements. So some of those things, the scoreboard got kind of away from the Thunder, but a lot of that had a snowball effect early in this game where the Thunder just were not able to course correct. And then once the Wolves kind of got that momentum at their back, playing inside this building, it was really hard to kind of stop the avalanche that was hitting the Thunder.
Yeah, a lot that the Thunder can take away from this game, and we heard it from Chet Holmgren. Not going to throw this game away, going to extract all the lessons that they can out of it and get ready for Game 4. And if you stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame, we'll also get you ready for Game 4, which is taking place right back inside of this building in just a couple of days. We'll be right back.
My doctor is my hero.
My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe.
It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own.
Gives us hope. And has our trust.
Leadership starts at home. That's why Ford is from America, for America. And with a lineup of our most popular Ford trucks and SUVs, we're for Oklahoma, too. Including F-150, Bronco, and Expedition. That's our leadership lineup. Right now, get employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Ford, from America, for America. At your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? The Monumental Savings Event is happening right now. Save big on our newest arrivals. We have hundreds of sofas with styles you love at unbeatable prices. Like this one. At just $5.99, you can enjoy this contemporary sofa by Ashley, complete with 5 accent pillows. Just one of over 100 great sofas in stock and ready for you to enjoy tonight with fast and free delivery. So don't miss out on the Monumental Savings Event happening at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Back inside of Target Center here in Minneapolis, the Thunder fall to the Timberwolves in Game 3 action. The series is now 2-1, which means there will be a guaranteed Game 5 of this Western Conference Finals. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. Game 4, just a couple of days away. That is going to be on Monday at 7:30. Game 5 will be back in Oklahoma City. That'll be on Wednesday at 7:30, and that will be on ESPN. And then Game 6, if necessary, Friday, 7:30 as well. And if necessary, Game 7, that's a 7 p.m. tip-off at Oklahoma City if it is needed. Now, we've talked about it. The Thunder, so good. We've seen it all season long. Their ability to take lessons, respond, and apply those lessons in the very next opportunity that they get is one of the biggest things that is so impressive about this group. Such a young team. So for Oklahoma City, upon first glance at this game, Royce, what do you anticipate being top of mind heading into Game 4?
Well, I think intensity, physicality, obviously, and some of those things, the controllable factors that go into a basketball game. This team has been so good, like you said, Paris, at getting back to zero. And we talk about it a lot. The Thunder have been on the the positive end of getting back to zero so often, to where, you know, they've won a big game, they've performed great, and now they've got to reset their mindset and play with that same sort of edge. But again, this sort of thing exists on the other side of it as well, because, you know, as Nick Collison, who was kind of the engineer behind the getting back to zero mentality, it was about happy teams get beat. And so sometimes when maybe you are a little bit, the vibes are a little too high, you need to kind of maintain that edge, that competitive fire in you. And so that's what I think a game like this can really kind of help engineer for OKC going into Game 4.
I like that. And heading into Game 4, I mean, you saw from Chet Holmgren, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you saw it from Coach Daigneault at the podium. This is a very composed group, and they recognize the length of this series. It is 1st to 4. So they are not overreacting, and you better believe that they are locking in for everything that they need to do heading into Game 4. But thank you so much for staying up late with us and tuning in to Thunder Playoff Postgame here in Minneapolis. What a game we had here today. Once again, our final score 143-101, with the series now 2-1. For Royce Young, I'm Paris Lawson. A reminder to join us for a complete breakdown and reaction following Game 4 on Monday from here in Minnesota. Until then, good night from Target Center in downtown Minneapolis.